I'm Kyle Holmes. I'm president and owner at Matrix Networks, and Lou is the telecommunications manager at the Portland Trailblazers. One of my favorite clients because of the fact I happen to be a huge Blazer fan since I was basically born and raised here in Oregon. So big deal to have them on the call here today, and very thankful for them. Just to start things off, a little background. So Matrix Networks was founded in 1984. We were founded by David Ness, and on December 23rd of 1984, he decided that he wanted to go it alone. He'd been working in the industry, serving customers with their digital and analog devices at the time, mostly phone system, fax machine, et cetera. And he felt there was a big disconnect between customer service and the technology that they're providing. He saw a better way to do it. And so his entire vision was, from the beginning, to create a better customer service experience for the client. And Matrix has always kept that at the core of what we do. And as we've gone through that process, there's been a lot of evolution. We don't install a lot of fax machines anymore. And our business has evolved to serve the needs of those clients. But at the same time, we've remained laser focused. You're not going to see us working on your VMware infrastructure or working on your printers or even your fax machines. We stay focused on the things that we are really, really good at. And at the end of the day, it's about the team that we put together. And as you experience that working with us, whether that's with our sales executives or our client success team or our operational staff and our pro technicians, you see that level of professionalism that's expected. Now, when we talk about all the technology we've seen in the last, little bit and over the last few years, it's advanced incredibly quickly. The applications have evolved from when I started doing this, you're dialing on a keypad and you were lucky to have a soft phone, to the point where we often are in video calls. That used to be a very complicated, expensive process, and now we just take it for granted. And as that's happened, user needs have changed. Our users expect video to be easy. They expect to be able to instantly communicate. And the users that we serve, our clients, their expectations have changed. They expect not to have to wait on hold. They expect automated assistance. They expect quick assistance. And as that's changed, so did the delivery modes that we used. And a big piece of that was an evolution to cloud communications and cloud technologies. And what that allowed us to do is implement new technology, implement new solutions and new features very rapidly at scale to businesses of all different size. So that was very exciting to us. But as we did that, we discovered that it wasn't as easy or as clean or simple as people kind of made it sound. As people began rolling out these cloud phone systems, they discovered there are a variety of different problems that they ran into, whether that was quality issues, design issues, or just general lack of knowledge on what they could do with the platform and underutilization. So in response to that, we developed our own process to make sure that we could deliver for the clients that we serve. It's always been the goal at Matrix Networks. So through our process, what we look at is, how do we deliver better for a client? And that first step in that is a thorough understanding of the environment that we're working in. We don't want to come into the environment and offer a one-size-fits-all option. We don't believe that works in the communication space. Each business is unique. The way they engage with their clients is like a unique fingerprint. We need to look at that fingerprint and the way they engage with their internal staff and with the outside teams in order to really make sure that we're identifying not only the right solutions, but ultimately the right design that we want to implement when it comes to communications platforms. And that requires us to really start that process early. That starts with the fact gathering and the mission of discovering what it is we're trying to accomplish. But beyond that, we encourage our clients to engage with us in our professional services before they sign a contract with these underlying vendors. One of the secrets they don't like to tell you, sorry, Berkeley, is that they start billing from the second you sign that contract. So if we can do a lot of the pre-work and have it ready to go and have it ready to program on day one, we're going to cut out a lot of billing and a lot of costs for our clients, also a lot of complexity and headaches. At the end of the day, it's about ensuring that that design is actually executed against. So we can talk about all the cool tools that Zoom just showed us. They were incredible. Zoom Room is really cool. Their phone platform is unique and has some really cool features to it. And all that stuff doesn't mean anything if we don't design it appropriately for your staff and your customers to take advantage of it. We do that by passing that knowledge that we collect early on onto our client success and operational teams so that they can work on actually delivering on those expectations. Oftentimes, as we go through this process, we've seen with vendors that you communicate something and it doesn't make it from the sales staff over to the operational side, and there's failure and gaps in that process. We're here to make sure we don't see those gaps. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we're all writing in a different way. And when we talk about network has always been incredibly important to IP-based voice real-time applications. But it becomes different when we start consuming those applications from the cloud, because now this traffic is traversing the wide area network, the internet, to get to its final destination, whether that's with Zoom or any other platform. It's going to have to go over that internet connection. On top of that, we're commingling traffic now. Oftentimes we're deploying with soft phones directly on the desktop or on the laptop that's being used for all the other data purposes. Before, when we had an isolated handset, it was really easy for us to say, hey, put QoS on all these devices and prioritize them. How are you going to do it now? These are the kind of solutions and problems we have to look at as we work through deployments to make sure that we get the level of service that we expect. Most of the deployments we see where there's failure early on, it's because there wasn't enough network preparation. And in the end, that led to one-way audio, dropped calls, poor video performance, and overall a bad impression for staff as they onboard the new product. Training is really important. Again, there's all these great tools, all these great features. Doesn't do you a lot of good if you don't know how to use them. Watching canned videos can work for some people, but most of us need a little more hand-holding than that. That's where Matrix comes in. We're going to actually train your staff based on the way you want to use the system, not just the default features. And we're going to be there live to answer questions and to make that an easy transition. So when they start using it, they already are comfortable. And then obviously first day live and post-install support is an incredibly important part of the big picture here. That first day live is the first impression users have of any platform, whether that be a voice platform, a CRM platform, whatever it is that you're rolling out. And we believe at Matrix that that is the most critical moment in any project. Must be delivered in a way that is easy, and the users at the end and the front lines are experiencing success. But at the same time, you need to have resources available and ready to resolve anything that pops up. We all know that first day lives can result in challenges at times. It's the way we respond to them and our availability and our ability to solve problems that makes the biggest difference in that experience. Then obviously post-install support, whether that be escalations with a Zoom, or whether that be directly advising on design and next steps. Those are all things that we're here to do and be a part of the process regardless. All right, so 3 key takeaways I have for you from myself. I'm sure Lou has many more nuggets he's going to share here in just a second, and I want to get to that. But before we do that, I do want to share a couple things that I've learned throughout the years, and I'd like to share with you as our customers. First is start with the end in mind. And a lot of folks start exploring technology instead of thinking about what is the business process or business solutions that we actually need. What I mean by that is, what reporting is it that I need out at the end? How am I going to engage better and get improvement from this? Or am I just mimicking what was there before? And as you do that, that should help clarify what solutions and technologies make most sense to deploy and how to deploy them to get that data and that information that you need in order to better run your business. Project management is critical. Obviously, you're going to see project management from our side. You're going to see project management on the side of the vendor, but your own internal project management is also very important. Folks like Lou are the glue that keep this whole thing moving. In order to make sure that we deliver those end results, we have to understand what the environment looks like and have an accurate picture. A good project manager coordinates all those pieces, puts everything together, and makes sure that we have success in the end. And then number 3 is the overlooked redheaded stepchild. Let's deploy UCaaS, or let's deploy CCaaS. Let's roll out that new voice platform or Teams or whatever that looks like. And nobody's really thinking about how are these packets going to get to where they need to be. Do that first. It's easier to do it before you run into trouble than to try to pick up the baton after. So that covers my 3 keys and some just little insights I have there. And I want to stop sharing here and go ahead and introduce Lou. Lou, are you with us here? Can you hear me okay?
Oh yeah, I'm with you.
All right. Thank you, Lou, for joining us today. Could you just tell us a bit about the Trailblazers and your role for the team?
Tell you a little bit about the Trailblazers.
What trade's coming, Lou? We're very intrigued.
You remember, we are IT. We know everything. Yeah, I don't know. Joe Cronin seems pretty aggressive, so we might see some fireworks. He is
I like it.
That he'd like to see some changes. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And if
Good.
I knew anything, I wouldn't be able to tell you anyway. So I'm sitting
Especially
here,
not on this call.
I'm sitting here, I'm looking at myself, and I look a lot older. And I think it's because the technology is changing so quickly. It's hard to keep up anymore. And especially since COVID. Since COVID, it's like someone dropped napalm on technology, especially telephony. Telephony is just blown up. It's gone from simply making things work and making sure, our agents are capable of working from home or working from the office, because we do have people coming in and out. But now it's a complete tear down of everything. I can tell you, I went to a meeting yesterday where, we were trying to simply kind of fix the IVR before we go to our CCAS, new CCAS environment. And I thought it was a little tweaking here, a little tweaking there, which I've been doing over the last couple of years. And come to find out, it's like they want to blow it all up now. Just blow it all up. Like, stop all of it. Just send calls to one person, like going back in time. You want to send every call to a receptionist, because the solutions that own through voice don't handle what the needs of the business are. So, we're doing this CCAS upgrade, and we should have done it 2 years ago. We were involved, Matrix was involved in, the idea of bringing in CCAS and omnichannel. And that it just died right as COVID hit. But that was unfortunate, because we could have used it back then. It would have saved us a lot of grief.
Sure. So just touching on that subject while we're on the subject. So what are the key things you're hoping to accomplish by moving to a cloud contact center?
Well, it's more than just moving to a cloud contact center. Part of moving to the cloud contact center is to kind of, there are some bumps in the road with the Mitel product that we have when we have remote workers and soft phones. We have had issues, and it's a jungle. We don't have a technology that looks past our network, past our firewall. So we don't know what the user has at home. We don't know how to manage that right now. And instead of kludging with more technology, we just decided that it would be better to look at holistically at the entire picture. The entire picture includes, agents in our company. We are just so marketing driven. Agents in our company being able to handle multiple communications from all different media at the same time, and make it a good experience. Because right now, if you go to an agent's desk, there are sticky notes everywhere. There are, the biggest complaint I get when I talk to an agent is, a customer got in touch with me, but I can't remember whether it was texting, whether it was email, whether they left me voicemail, those kinds of things. But bigger than that, you got to get your arms around all of this stuff that's coming, and have it in a place that we can have a repository for all of it, be able to go through all of the data, and then deliver to our management all the reporting that they need.
Great, thank you, Lou. Let's rewind the clock a bit pre-COVID. And long ago, you ran an interactive intelligence before you replaced it with a Mitel, and you did that engagement with Matrix Networks. Could you tell us a little bit about what that was like and what it's like working with different types of partners and different deployments you've done throughout the years?
Yeah, well, one of the great things about being in a relationship with Matrix is that I come from that same background. So I've said this before, so it'll sound like I'm repeating myself to at least the people who know me. But I came from a background very similar to how Matrix started and what they did for a living. Um, and I needed to partner with someone I felt comfortable with, someone who, if I was doing business with me, I would be comfortable. So Matrix became the me that, that I needed. And Matrix, we were in such dire straits back in those days because we had a Nortel 61C with a Nortel ACD that was horrible. So we decided back in 2001, somewhere in there to 2003 to, upgrade the call center, which made sense. But of course, the 61C and the interactive intelligence system, there was no communicating between the two systems. It was blind communication. So it was a real problem. The president didn't know when the senior vice president of ticketing was calling him because there was no caller ID. So that was a nightmare. But what advantage we had with working with Matrix is to me is a collective. So I get the entire team. If I make one phone call to Matrix, in a sense, I'm talking to, John Shire and Jason and Anson and Brian and, and you, Kyle. I mean, I get the collective. So there's a lot of minds looking at something that I need. And that's been the best experience because with all of these bumps in the road, with all the technology growth that we've done, we needed somebody who could see past some of the things that we couldn't see or help us get through those things that were, may have caused us more issues had we not had you as partners.
Great, thank you. Going back to your project you're working on today, as you've gone through you're in the bottom end of the selection process. What has it been like engaging with the different vendors, and where has a partner fit in there, and what challenges have you run into?
Well, part of it is I think everything has changed since COVID. So it's a little different. I think, because we did have the experience prior to COVID with interviewing all of these vendors. So the interviews were different. They were a little more intense. They were a little more focused. I think that since COVID, there's lots of limited staffing. There's a lot of nerves that are frazzled. So, the experiences are not the same. They're a little bit more challenging. So having somebody like you, so in the middle of it, if I have questions that after, we go through this interview process, if I have questions, I can call, and I call Kyle all the time. It's like, Kyle, you got to explain this to me a little bit. I just don't get this piece and that piece. And it's critical because, we're going into a big technology here as far as I'm concerned. We are putting our arms around all the departments in the company. Before it was simple. Before we took phone calls in, we just press 2, press 3, press 4, get you where you need to go, and that's it. But now we're going to bring in all of this other, all these other mediums and try to manage it all and try to have it, present it in a way that makes, which is, everybody knows, is making the customer experience great. And that's critical for us, the customer experience. And we want customers to know that from the moment they engage us, whether it's for Blazers, whether it's for any event at the arena, that we see it, we know it, we want you to have the best experience, and we want to be able to treat you accordingly, depending on who you are as a customer, who you are as a client, how often you come, what are your trends, what do you like to spend money on, how we can better serve that experience.
Sure. All right, so I gave my 3 tips for what I think are important through a deployment. Once you've signed that thing, Lou, oftentimes you're responsible for making sure everything works. What are your 3 big tips that you have if you've gone through these deployments in the past?
Make sure you have your contract in place with Matrix. Because we finally signed ours recently, which was something that I've been pushing in the background because, some of the newer management styles are different from the way I grew up in the business. So it's really important to have a partner that's really going to help you through the process and to see the entire process. I don't know that anybody today that I know, at least in my company, knows what's coming. They don't have a clue. So I depend on it. So having a good partner, standing next to you going through this, and it's different. It's like you offer us a concierge service. And my manager says, well, why do we need that? Because we have an integrator who's going to be doing those same things. They don't understand how the nuance of what it is that we really need and how we run our operation. And having somebody who knows that in the room with you when you're working with this new partner who knows very little about you, and is trying to do a good job, but, doesn't really understand the process. So that's really important. Number two is never give up. I mean, for me, omnichannel has been, the whole process of, CCaaS and omnichannel and UCaaS is something that I've had a vision for a long time, only because I work with people who, I hear what their needs are, and I know I can give them solutions, but they don't, as a group, come together. A lot of disparate parts of the business. So putting your arms around it, not letting go, really continue to shake the tree. It's really annoying, and it's really painful at times, but never give up. You just don't stop. And and now the big push is to get rid of all the phones. Take the phones off the desks. We don't need phones. Who needs phones? We don't need that. But it's more than who do we need phones. I don't think they understand the implication of the importance of voice. I think it's the greatest application ever invented. So holding on to voice in a way that honors it as you get the dump truck in there to get all the phones off the desks. For some reason, seems to be important. But I think, not throwing out the baby with the bathwater is important to understand as you're making all these transitions. Make sure you really clearly understand, and make sure the management, whoever they are, clearly understands, and I apologize, we got some work going on here. So here in the background.
I thought you might be being attacked by a raptor there. That was
Yeah.
Awesome. Any closing thoughts, Lou, you'd like to share with the group here?
Oh God, take as many vacations as you can.
That's great advice. I recommend that. That is a good piece of advice there. Get those vacations in.
Yeah.
Don't leave them on the table.
Do not. Yeah. Get
Well,
to see
Lou,
some sun. Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us today. Always your insight is incredible. Thank you so much. And I'll pass this back to Ryan. I think we've concluded our little section here, and we'll get to tonals and all that kind of fun stuff.
Have a great Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lou. I promise, and I hope everyone can see this. And I'm going to give it a spin in 3, 2, 1.